like, okay, I'm giving over this dark stuff into here. I'm just giving it over. And I'm being obedient to the process, right? I'm not trying to, I have an end goal to make a picture.
Yeah.
But being obedient to the process. So here, we're just putting it all in the canvas. And then.
Yeah. So describe the paintings that you're.
So this painting here is called Dark Waters. I created it during, I have a time that I volunteer once a month at an organization called Spa Ministries, and we pray. We have a specific focus, or we'll pray, and this painting came out of that time. So sometimes when I sit down and paint, I don't know where we're going to go, right? I just start painting and then it happens. But this one in particular, we were talking about living water, and we were talking about how when you're thirsty, you go and get water, but where can you get water that like will quench your thirst, right? In reference to scripture, it's the woman at the well. So here we are, I'm painting water, right? You can see the water here, and you can see there's different colors and there's lots of movement. And this dark water, right, is representation of the things that I have gone through. Some of the hard things that, yes, maybe I've healed from, but I still are scars because they're a part of my story.
Yeah.
Going through, a death in the family is impactful to
very
you.
dark.
It can be hard, like, especially when it's somebody like your mom or your dad, because they're not supposed to go before you, right? It's just not the way it should happen in our brains. But life is life, and life is crazy sometimes, and it takes you down journeys that you never thought you wanted to go. And so here are these dark waters. I'm just putting it in with colors. And so sure, I could describe some of these dark waters and what they are, but some of them I can't. Some of them are just, I've felt them and here they are, right? And then while I was painting, I was actually spraying water on it. So that's a fun little technique. So you get this fun texture in here. And then all of a sudden, if you can see here, there's a cross. It literally just showed up at the end of the painting.
You didn't.
It was not intentional. It just kind of showed up with the way, because I was so like, okay, I'm giving over this dark stuff into here. I'm just giving it over. And I'm being obedient to the process, right? I'm not trying to, I have an end goal to make a picture.
Yeah.
But being obedient to the process. So here, we're just putting it all in the canvas. And then when we get to the end and I look back, and when I say it's a spiritual experience for me, I'm like, to me, this painting says God shows up like every time.
Okay, so show us the other art that you brought us.
Okay, these are my favorite right now. And I say right now because they're the most recent.
And this is the now.
That's usually, the best is right now. So this one here these all three came from the same space. Okay. So I'm volunteering at Spa Ministries. And so it's more of a spiritual kind of thing. But anyway, this one here obviously is a heart. And I didn't know what I was going to paint this day. Had no idea. Sometimes I have an idea, sometimes I don't. Today, this day, I had no idea. And I walk in, and I don't even remember what the focus was. We prayed, and we have our paint, and we grab a canvas. And I come up, and one of the girls said, "Do you hear this song that's playing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I do now." I didn't at that moment. And she said, it's called Another in the Fire. And the lyrics go, "There's another in the fire standing next to me." Meaning, when it's a reference to the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were asked to kneel to this king, and they said, "No, we don't kneel to you, we kneel to one God." And so he said, "Well, because you're not going to kneel to me, I'm going to throw you in the fire. In fact, why don't you turn it 7 times hotter?" And then they threw him in the fire, and they're standing there, and they notice that there's another being in the fire with them, and they're not even getting burned. And they're just amazed, like, what is happening? That I just threw you in this fire, and it's supposed to burn you up, but nothing is happening. You're actually still alive. So the king orders them to come out, and he is just, I have to know what you believe in your conviction. And so that song is about when I'm going through the fire, there's another one in there with me.
It's not just you.
And so you can take that, if you're a spiritual aspect, yes, that's God, but it can also be those people that are really encouraging you and supporting you.
Yeah, your
when
teammates,
you're going through it.
Your coaches, your parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So here I am painting this, and this girl comes up to me and she says, I think that you should paint that song.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. Just sort of like, cool, thanks for the suggestion. I'm going to keep painting over here. But then it wouldn't leave me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's what you need to do. And so as I was painting, I just thought about fire. And obviously it turned into, it's this heart shape. And then all of these colors, like I just kept thinking about the yellows and the reds and the oranges and adding some of the blue, which you don't think, I mean, you see blue flame, but this deep color to really enrich. And then I just like the movement of the song and I'm just and then had no idea where it was going to go, but just allowed myself to be in the moment and let the painting say what it needed to say. Right. And so here's my heart, it's on fire, and I'm a passionate person, but
can't tell.
I know it's I kind of hide it really well. No, I don't. But it's really about, okay, there's darkness around me, but your heart is lit and it needs to be seen. Like, let it be seen. Stop holding it in this little shell in dark space. Mm-hmm. Let it be loud. Let it be encouraging. Let it be what it's supposed to be. So
it's beautiful.
So when I see it, that's what I think of.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. I want to see it. This one's cool.
Okay, so this one I say for last because it's absolutely my favorite, and I think it's going to be for a while. This one came from chaos. Mm-hmm. This is chaos. This all represents all the things that, if you're going to talk about softball, it can be all the things that everybody said that you weren't going to be. It can be all the things that, all the strikeouts and all of the hopes and the wins that you wanted and all those things. It could be all of those dark moments. It can also be all of life's dark moments, like I mentioned before, divorce and death, and it can be, your friend, who you thought was your friend now turns her back on you and sues you and your family. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like those dark moments that as you grow just happen, and you never know when they're going to hit you because life can be cruel at times. But anyway, so here is the clouds and the rain and the stuff that just pours in. If you're younger and you haven't been through some of those things, it can be like
you didn't make a team.
You failed your test, or you didn't make your team, and it devastates you. Or you liked a boy and he doesn't like you. I mean, and it's devastating and it hurts your heart. Like, I don't want to just throw those aside like those don't mean anything. Like, those moments in your life are impactful and they hurt. Right. And so those can be a part of your dark moments. Yeah. And so as those storms are rolling through, right, and you don't actually know what to do with them, right? I have a saying that you just face it. Mm-hmm. Like, they're gonna come, and it comes up, and you just stand up and you face it. And when you face it, this is what happens. This lion comes out. And if you're speaking to it from a spiritual point of view, this is a representation of God and what he does when he shows up and he speaks. Pushes back darkness, right? Mm-hmm. If you're speaking to it from what's in you, like the inner in you, when you stand up against darkness, this is what you look like to chaos. Yeah. So I love this because this is what you can look like to your opponent that you've never beat. Mm-hmm. When you stand up and finally say, I'm not going to let you beat me anymore. I'm just going to stand up and let my inner out. And it's going to, like, there's a verse, resist the enemy and he will flee. Like, when you stand up against the things that are pushing back, and you stand up against opposition, it's going to flee. Mm-hmm. It can't stand up against courage. Yeah. So when you do that, this is what you look like, right? And so I look at this and I just think, okay, what am I scared of today? I just need to let my inner lion out because the darkness is trying to take over. Yeah. And I need to not let it.
That's so interesting because, you're always told, like, face the fear. It's easier to say than do. But if you're fearful of something, it's probably someone telling you that you're supposed to stand up to it. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's like when we work with our lessons. Like, if they're not uncomfortable during their time with us, then we're wasting everybody's time, right? They're never going to grow, like you said. So the fear, if you have fear somewhere, that means that you're probably in the place you're supposed to be.
Right. And if you don't have fear, it means you're probably not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, too, you're probably not trying, not getting out of your comfort zone. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, this is so fun.